Hello, everyone. My name's Felicia, and recently my life has made an incredibly unexpected turn. You see, my mom brought a recently released criminal home, and now I don't know what to do. I don't know my dad. I have never met him. Maybe I've seen him once or twice when I was a toddler. Mom used to tell me different stories about him. When I was still a kid, she said that he was an astronaut and disappeared deep in space. Another time she told me that he left us, and once even said that he was kidnapped. There were so many versions of my dad's fate, some fantastic, some prosaic. The only thing I understood was that he was still alive. He just didn't need either me or Mom. To be fair, I never really suffered from his absence. Guess I had too many horrible fathers. My mother and I lived in a pretty rough neighborhood, and there were no perfect white-collar workers among our neighbors. Alcoholics, gang members, petty tyrants, I've seen them all. My friends constantly complained that they felt horrible at home. Constant scandals, some terrible demands. One girl even got beaten by her dad because she wore bright makeup, and she was already 18. I listened to all these stories, and I was happy that I had no dad. Mom didn't yell and never put her hands on me. We were always able to come to terms and really enjoyed spending a lot of time together. Mom taught me everything a girl needed to know. And she also taught me self-defense and some useful rules of life, such as you really didn't want to return home late at night if you lived in a bad neighborhood. Mom rarely forbade me anything. She understood that it was okay for a 15-year-old to talk to friends on the phone, wear makeup, and stay at a friend's house twice or thrice a month. She never called my friends and their parents in a senseless panic. The girls actually envied me because of my supermom. We even had enough money to live comfortably. No extra pampering, of course, but we always had more than enough money for food, clothes, and any gadgets. Mom even paid for my college because I wasn't an honor roll pupil and earned no scholarship. I didn't really know how much the economists are paid, but my mom was paid really well. But then a man appeared in our wonderful life. His name was Larry, and he was disgusting. I don't know where my mom found this creepy male specimen. But one day, I came home from college and Larry was already there, sitting in our clean kitchen drinking tea. And then he told me to call him Dad right off the bat. To say I was shocked was an understatement. There are other obscene words for my feelings at the moment. Dad? Really? What the hell? And the most terrible thing was that my mom supported him and didn't even look like herself. She was smiling, she wore a beautiful dress, and she was cooking that monster dinner. And she looked very happy for some reason. Well, I'm an adult girl, so after I coped with the initial shock, I just shrugged my shoulders and went to my room. My mom's personal life was of little interest to me. I was 17 and occupied with my own inability to find a suitable boyfriend. Besides, I naively thought that Larry would be leaving soon, but Larry decided to stay. To be honest, I was really afraid of him. Not only did he look like a monster, he had a temper to match. And for some reason, that man decided I urgently needed to learn how to behave. Each of my missteps was met with some lessons from Larry. Moreover, the things he considered horrible were completely normal for us until he appeared. For example, he scolded me about the dirty socks left in the bathroom. Well, yeah, I left them there, so what? I was still going to bathe in the evening and I'd wash them along the way. But Larry took those socks as a personal affront and each time tried to shove them into my face while shouting at me and waving hands. Then he began to check my grades, reprimanding me in the process. And once or twice he forcibly washed my face in the bathroom because, quote, good girls don't wear bright makeup. Hello, what the hell? I'm already 17. That's how my life turned into a complete nightmare. Larry forbade me to go out with friends and to talk to my girlfriends on the phone. But when I asked whether I was allowed to breathe, he called me a selfish and spoiled brat. I didn't understand at all. What did that have to do with me? He's just Mom's boyfriend after all. Besides, I had no idea how she could ever date him in the first place. It seemed to me that Larry did nothing on the house, except for educating me, of course. He sat on the sofa all day, ate a crap load of food, and periodically shouted at Mom. And she just kept smiling and nodding. Besides, he turned out to be not only a petty tyrant, but also a real criminal. I found out that he had just recently gotten out of prison. After discovering that, I became really scared. I was afraid that he'd do something to me, my mom, or even my friends. Besides, I didn't know what he was in for. He might have been convicted for murder, committed with grave violence, and now he's living in our house, looking for new victims. Did Mom really feel so lonely without a man to tolerate such an animal beside her? So in the end, I just couldn't stand it. Once I came home from school and noticed that someone had rifled through my things. That was obviously not my mom, because we respected each other's personal space. I just could not stand such a situation. I gave Mom an ultimatum. She had to choose between me and Larry. I did not want to live in constant fear and endure the whims of a horrible, horrible man. Of course, I was sure that Mom would choose me. And Mom chose him. Well, actually, she asked me to stop messing around and come to terms with the fact that our house now had a strong male presence. I didn't want to come to terms with that, so I immediately packed up my things and left.
Hello, my darlings. I am Felicia's mother, and now I have to watch how my daughter makes the biggest mistake in her life. You see, our family has a secret that she doesn't know about. The man my daughter knows as Larry is actually her real dad. Our neighborhood has always been famous for its gangs. Of course, no one will tell you about that via tourist booklets. But the fact is a fact. When you are young, such things seem quite romantic and all. So the gangs always had a pool of potential recruits to choose from. Quick cash, guns, illegal deals. Now it sure sounds creepy, but when we were young, we thought that the criminal way was the only way to find a self-respecting man. No, I never participated in any crime myself, but almost all of my acquaintances were connected to criminal activities in some way. Even my closest friends and family members worked for the gangs. Larry proposed to me when both of us were only 18. He said that he did not want to wait. He could be killed in a shootout at any time. That's when I first thought that we were doing something wrong with our lives. Well, we never officially got married. I became pregnant and wanted to wait with the wedding. Then we had a small child and had no time to think about rituals and such stuff. And then the situation in the neighborhood changed. Police activity was intensified. They made a lot of raids. The gangs turned on each other just to survive. I was even afraid to go out due to numerous firefights in the streets. So I just stayed at home with little Felicia and prayed to our Lord for Larry. Unfortunately, once my prayers did not work, and he did not return. Still, I was happy that he was alive, even if that meant 17 years of prison. You see, some of my friends buried their men. That was the beginning of my double life. On one hand, I was trying to be the best mom for my charming girl, a good worker, and a good housewife. And on the other hand, I was waiting for my husband to become free. According to my documents, I was a single mother, and Felicia's papers had no mentions of her father at all. Larry and I had a talk about that, and ultimately decided to leave everything as is, so that our girl won't have any problems with work and studies in the future. Larry stayed behind bars, but he still managed to support us and send us money. I never asked about the details, but once a week, young guys visited the office where I worked and brought envelopes full of cash. If I needed to have something done about the house, to fix the roof, for example, or similar kinds of stuff, I just called a special number and my problems were soon solved. Larry even somehow managed to pay for Felicia's college. In fact, we lived on his money because my salary was just to cover so that the cops would not ask any questions. I won't be able to raise my girl on my own. And then Larry came back. I was the happiest woman in the world. In fact, I was so happy that I completely forgot about Felicia. And then I could only watch how these two destroy everything with their pointless conflict. Yes, Larry does have a difficult personality. He definitely can be a handful. But I was sure that he loved me and my daughter. And it was terribly painful for me to watch their quarrels. They constantly shouted at each other and could not find a common ground. I asked Larry to be just a bit softer and asked Felicia not to be so brash, but they both refused to listen to me. I knew that Larry was also upset. He dreamed of their meeting. He wanted to see his daughter, and all he got was a hysterical teenager who hated him. I even asked both of them to undergo a couples therapy course together, but still, they didn't listen to me. And now my Felicia left our home. I am completely at a loss. I have no idea how to reconcile my family, and most importantly, how to convince my daughter that Larry is really her father, who actually gave her everything she has now. What should Felicia and her mom do now? And what would you do if you were one of them? Tell us in the comments. Share the video with your friends. Support us with your likes. And just remember, you ought to talk to your loved ones to prevent any future conflicts.